So Kevin Stefanski was asked about Winston's play yesterday, and if it was evidence that they should have played Winston sooner.
Yeah, Jameis is the starter. I thought he did a nice job with progressions, Mary Kay. I thought he saw it clearly. And I thought a big part of that is protection was outstanding. I think we had 2 sacks, and really the one sack was this right before the sack fumble. The sack fumble obviously was a big play in the game. We have to be better there. The one after that wasn't. It was really taking it to halftime. But protection throughout the day was really, really good. And that allowed Jameis to get through his progressions and even third, fourth in the progression so that guys could come open. But that was really a large doing part by the protection.
Based on Jameis's performance yesterday, is that evidence or data that perhaps you should have benched Deshaun at some point earlier in the season and turned things over to Jameis?
Yeah, I'm not really thinking that way, Mary Kay. I thought Jameis did a nice job yesterday, obviously operating in the system, and I know he feels like he can play better, but I'm not thinking about it that way.
And Scott, that's a tough question for him to answer because I mean, look at it. The Philadelphia game and the Cincinnati game, if you get competent quarterback play, you probably win both those games. And if you're sitting there with 4 wins now, you're right in the middle of the playoff race in the AFC.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I'm writing a story about right now about the finish of the game, and it was a lot on offense, and then obviously they get the late stop. But they had chances to win games before. You mentioned, they had Philly and Cincinnati and Vegas and the Giants, right? They had chances to win all those games late, and they didn't get one touchdown that gave them a chance, like a go-ahead touchdown. I think the only touchdown they scored in those 4 games in the fourth quarter offensively was against Cincinnati last week with a minute and a half left, and Jameis Winston threw the touchdown pass. So it just shows you how inefficient they were offensively, especially in big spots. But you're right. I mean, Kevin Stefanski, I don't know how he's supposed to answer that question. It's a legitimate question because people were talking about benching Watson for weeks. But I also, at the time, I understood the organizational decision to stick with Watson because of all the money invested, all the things we just talked about. It made sense to give him as much time as possible to pull himself out of it. But now that that's not an option, you do see the difference between when Watson was playing and when Winston played.
Yeah, and it's stark. I mean, it isn't just shades of gray. It's pretty stark.